nobody's skin, no matter how good it looks on the screen, is 100% perfect.
Every single time I log onto Instagram, I come away thinking that I need to buy about 5 new products. It does feel overwhelming because it is overwhelming.
If you're not doing your basics of using a sunscreen every single day, you don't need to bother because you're just undoing all the work that it would do.
Do we really need a 100-step skin routine?
I'm going to stop you right there and say there's no such thing as glass skin. I think that's a little bit of a marketing tool.
I'm going to put that in the show notes because I feel like that's going to change people's lives. I'm very excited about it. You're listening to the Too Much Information podcast, where no women's health topic is off limits. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you. This podcast would be nothing without you. Follow along if you're not already, and if you like what you hear, please spread the word. Enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome to this episode of Too Much Information. Today we are talking all about skincare and, importantly, how to simplify your skincare. Because I don't know about all of you, but every single time I log onto Instagram, I come away thinking that I need to buy about 5 new products, invest in a whole new routine, and there are a lot of people who maybe don't know their stuff who are recommending a lot of products. Which is why we have got a qualified expert in the form of Dr Sonia Sharma, a consultant dermatologist, here today. I'm so excited to have you here, Sonia. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so lovely to be able to, talk about this area. This is my expertise. I love talking about this.
Honestly, such a pleasure. I mean, I've only recently become more interested in skincare personally. It's a funny one to do on a women's health podcast because some people might think it is quite surface level, but your skin does play a massive role in your self-confidence, and I think that trickles down into everything else. So I'm buzzing about this topic, and I know that it's one that, firstly and most importantly, my little sister has been really badgering me to do. But secondly, loads of listeners and followers have just been so excited about it.
No, it's great. And absolutely, you've hit the nail on the head there because, sometimes you have a small little blemish somewhere, or you've got really florid acne or other inflammatory skin conditions like psoriasis or eczema, and it can affect their face and it can really affect your confidence. And I feel like as women, I don't know what era you've grown up in, but I had the glossy magazines of the 90s and seeing all the supermodels and airbrushing and all of that. And I think it's a lot of pressure on women to look a certain way. And so when there is something that we don't necessarily feel comfortable with, it can really damage people's self-confidence. So I think this is right. This should be on a women's health podcast, definitely.
And now it is, thank God. I would love to know what got you into this field, Sonia. What inspired you to qualify as a doctor and then go into dermatology specifically?
So I think, from a very young age, I've known that I wanted to be a doctor. So I have type 1 diabetes, and I was in touch with, lots of doctors from the age of 5 when I was diagnosed. And it was more because I think I was so young, I didn't quite understand life without it. And as I grew up, I kind of saw how my mum handled, my condition and the way the doctors were with her and how they made her feel as a, worried parent of a child. And I think I was just like, do you know what? I want to do that one day, make somebody's mummy, happy and, make them understand that their child isn't abnormal or unusual and they can live a full and healthy life. So I think that really started my passion in trying to help people. And then I was in about, I think, 3rd year medical school. I saw a lady with really terrible and inflammatory autoimmune condition called scleroderma. And it not only affects your skin, but it affects your internal organs. And I said, you have trouble with your kidneys, you have trouble with your lungs. She said, but that doesn't bother me. It's the skin because people can see it. And from then I was like, I'm going to do dermatology because I think I can help people feel better about their skin, and that's what I want to do.
That's amazing. We were talking just before we started recording about how you relatively recently have started talking about skincare and dermatology and hair, I think, as well, on social media, When
Yeah.
did that start?
So that started roughly about 2024. My sister is a GP, so they deal with a lot of skin conditions in primary care. And my sister was like, I think, can you please help me answer some of these questions? I'm getting a lot from my followers. And I was like, yes, I can help you. And she was like, well, you love chatting and you just don't stop talking ever. Why don't you just go on to social media and try and answer some of these questions? And she said, and there's loads of nonsense out there, like misinformation. So she was like, I think you could have a go at trying to help people on there and educate people on there. So
Yeah.
that's where it all kind of started.
The first question that I have, Sonia, why do you think that women are so overwhelmed about their skin?
I mean, where do I start? I'm in this field. So my social media, when I go into there, is inundated with skincare products, brands, people saying what they've used. So I think it's very much in the forefront for me. But I know from my friends, everyone is not Googling much anymore. They're going down TikTok rabbit holes or, on Instagram to look at other people, buy things. So I think social media has really changed, and there's a big marketing out there for skincare brands and products, which is great that there's so many out there for different skin types and skin tones. But it does feel overwhelming that there's so much out there, and you just think, where would I even possibly start? Then there's a new product and a new viral product, and you think, oh, I could do with a bit of that, and maybe I should try it, and we're all human at the end of the day. And I suppose that's why marketing is out there, isn't it? To fall into this like human psychology and make us want to try things because we feel it may do something for us.
Yeah, it does feel overwhelming because it is overwhelming. And I do wonder whether a big part of that is kind of the rise of influencers as well. I often think you're looking at these women who have absolutely stunning skin, but you don't know necessarily what's gone into that. You don't know what treatments or tweakments they might have had. And perhaps it creates maybe a bit of a false perception of what a 26-year-old or a 36-year-old or a 46-year-old's skin
Yeah.
should look like.
Yes. And I think the other thing is that there's things like lighting, and then obviously some people have filters on their, videos and things. And some of these filters, I mean, they're so subtle. It's hard not to feel that kind of overwhelm and think, oh my gosh, that person online has completely flawless skin.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us, when you do come up close, you'll be like, oh, didn't even know that you had this there, and you're like, well, yeah, that's what makeup's for, that's what lighting's for, and I think we do need to be kinder to ourselves and our skin, to say nobody's skin, no matter how good it looks on the screen, is 100% perfect. And I think that's something hopefully we can get across today.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that message. I think that's so important. And I completely agree. The amount of times that I'm literally just getting ready to take one photo for my social media, or even go on to a day of calls with my colleagues, and 9 out of 10 times I will be putting makeup on, probably more than that, even if it's just a little bit, because yeah, it comes down to that
Yeah.
confidence thing. Let's talk about skin routines. Do we really need a 100-step skin routine?
Absolutely not. I sometimes watch these videos as well of people applying one thing after the other, and then a spray, and then a toner, and then a this, and then, I mean, I don't know who has time to do that, first of all.
Me
Who has
either.
money to buy all this stuff?
Yeah.
Second of all, and it's unnecessary. It really is unnecessary. I think my message has always been, keep it simple. You don't need to spend lots of money. Everything you need you can find in your local Boots, Superdrug, whatever, wherever you're getting your skincare. You shouldn't have to spend, £200 on a cream to achieve that healthy skin.
If you were to choose a kind of blanket skincare routine that would work for most women, what would you be recommending?
So I would say a cleanser, something that actually removes your makeup and removes your sunscreen. You may choose a oil-based one, a balmy kind of one, which is meant to like melt away the makeup. You may choose a, more of a milky one. So anything that's going to remove the makeup. And yes, ideally a double cleanse. If you are someone who wears sunscreen, please do. By the end of this, I hope everyone's wearing sunscreen. And then you do need to kind of do a double cleanse because hopefully everyone's reapplied their sunscreen as well. So you've got that sweat, sunscreen, makeup. If you've been out and about, you'll, especially if people live, in inner cities like London or Manchester, you're in touch with, pollutants in the air as well. So that would be my main thing is get a good cleanser. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Remember, it's going down the drain. So you use it to wash off all the bits and then it's going down the drain. So you don't need to spend a lot of money on a cleanser. Please, please don't. And then I'd say a moisturizer. People think that acne skin or acne prone skin doesn't need a moisturizer. It absolutely does. And actually you can get lots of lightweight moisturizers which are great for acne prone skin. So everyone would benefit from a moisturizer. And then my third step would be an SPF. And that's your like basic 3-step routine, which most of the days that I do. I have to put my hands up. I don't actually cleanse my face in the morning with a cleanser. I just use water.
That's what I do too. Is that okay?
Yeah, and it just depends on your skin. So if your skin is, and I think that's the main thing. People sort of need to work out what their skin type is. And if you've got acne prone or a breakout prone skin, then that's your skin. Or if you're more oily in certain places but dry in others, then you've got kind of combination skin. And then obviously dry skin. So I think working out what your skin is rather than picking a product because someone said, oh, this has made my skin look flawless, is actually better to follow. And I've done it before. I've used something that's given to me and it says use for dry skin, and that's broken me out because my skin isn't dry on my face. So I think it's working out your skin type would be the sort of first thing I would do, and then working out the products to suit that skin type would be the next thing.
Such good advice. It's so simply put, but I've never really thought about that. So you've almost got your step one before anything else is figure out what category you fall into. And then hopefully the rest is made easier because of that. Is there such a thing as doing too much?
Yes. Yes, there is. I suppose people are putting on things and not really knowing why. So people might be using lots of what we call actives. So we've got our 3 steps, our cleanser, moisturizer, SPF. If you wanted to add in an active, what would you be adding in and why? So my active would be vitamin C because that's a great antioxidant. So it's going to help protect your skin from the pollution, and it actually works in synergy with your SPF. So that's one of my favorite actives. Now, vitamin C is great, but it depends how it's formulated. It also depends on your skin type. Some people find it quite irritating and it can be quite stingy and make your skin quite red to use initially when you first start using it. And as with all actives, they can do that. So I would say, yes, doing too much can be bad, and no one needs to add in every single active under the sun to do anything to their skin. And there's lots of products out there which, could potentially be harsh for your skin type. If you are experiencing overuse of products, or your skin has broken out, or it's become really dry, flaky, etc., work out what your basics are. Go back to the 3-step basics, and then work out what you don't need, and then add in slowly if need be.
That is such good advice. I'm with you as well, that I've discovered vitamin C about a year and a half ago, and I genuinely think it's transformed. Like, it's been really, really good. But as we know, it's not the same for everybody.
No, it's not. And there are different formulations, and different brands have different types of vitamin C to target those different skin types. It can be helpful to look for those specific acne prone or oily skin types or drier skin types, specific labels on the product.
So we're going to go into a little section which I'm going to call Worth It or Waste. I hope it will be fun. Let's see. I
Mhm.
am going to say a few of the trending items or skincare must-haves that
Yeah.
I've seen recently, and I would like you to say whether you think they're worth the hype or whether you think it's a waste.
Okay. And am I allowed to give an explanation or not?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Yes, you
You're
are.
like, she's not going to play if she's not able to talk about it.
No, I think the reason we need you is because we need the evidence behind it. So absolutely explain away.
Go for it.
Okay, so the first one is LED face masks.
Ooh, can I say I'm on the fence with this one?
Yeah,
So potentially worth it, but I don't have one. Is that helpful?
I think so.
So the research behind these is mainly done on in clinic LED devices, and there's all different wavelengths, which if you're a physicist you'll get, but everyone else is a bit like, oh gosh, what wavelengths do I use for what? And then on top of the wavelengths, there's different lights. There's red light, blue light, etc. And I think there's other lights now coming out. Um, so they've got a sound kind of basis to them and why they would work. My kind of caveat is the price point of some of these. They can be quite
Yeah,
expensive. The second thing is if you're not doing your basics of using a sunscreen, for example, every single day, you don't need to bother with the LED mask because you're just undoing all the work that it would do. Um, and the third thing is that they can make certain conditions worse, as in certain skin conditions. So if you
interesting.
have things like melasma, which is hyperpigmentation, or it can be called a pregnancy mask. A lot of ladies see it related to their hormone changes. Or a skin condition called rosacea, where people can get quite flushed and they can have pimples and spots. We know that that's triggered by heat, spicy foods, alcohol. So those masks, although they don't get very hot, the kind of the infrared heat or the LED light that is applied can potentially make those conditions worse. So I would say I personally wouldn't spend money on it.
Thank you. I think
Okay.
that's useful, honestly. Let's talk about retinol or retinoids.
Yeah. So retinoids. So we've got retinol, which is your like first step, like the baby steps if you really want to try. And then you've got retinals with the A. And then you've got your things that are prescription based, like tretinoin, for example. So they're like heavy duty. Each as you go up the ladder, there's more increased risk of peeling those retinol uglies or purging, etc. So the
Right.
retinols are quite mild. The dose isn't as high as what you'd have in tretinoin, for example. So I'd say they're useful and they can help with things like fine lines, wrinkles, uneven texture, a lot of the skin concerns that most people have or want to have help with. So I would say worth it, as long as you're using your sunscreen.
Very important.
Those who are in that phase of trying to conceive or pregnant breastfeeding, retinoids are one of the ones we say definite no to. We know that oral retinoids are unsafe, and we know that there can be some absorption into the bloodstream and they can harm the baby. So we say absolutely not. Don't use those retinoids of any kind. Bakuchiol is another active, which is a plant-based one, and that's it's like a retinoid alternative. Yeah, it's Bakuchiol, bakuchiol. So it can help improve, fine lines, wrinkles, texture, and things like that. So it's an alternative if people wish to use.
Yeah, definitely. I think particularly when you are going into a phase which is potentially quite stressful and might lead to quite a lot of sleep deprivation, it's about doing something for you and sort of maintaining your own identity and a bit of your, well, as much of your self-confidence as you can at
Yeah.
that stage as well, isn't it? Drinking collagen every morning.
This is really tricky because more evidence is emerging on the benefits of oral collagen, but there's not enough to definitely say yes, it 100% improves things. So the evidence isn't great for them. However, there are people that use it anecdotally and have personal experiences and say, I started taking that collagen and it's really made my hair nice or made my skin feel nice. So yes, use with caution. Don't spend lots of money on these things.
Really helpful. Another one which might be divisive.
Yeah.
I will say that I don't use any of the ones we've spoken about so far. I
Yeah.
do quite like this one,
Go
which
for it.
is gua sha, if I'm saying
Okay.
that
Yeah.
correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what? So gua sha is rooted in like traditional Chinese medicine, and it's meant to be, from my understanding, is meant to be like muscle scrubbing. So it's meant to help with alleviating pain from muscles. It can help a little bit like lymphatic drainage. So
Ooh.
I think if you know what you're doing and you've got your technique sorted, go for it. People think it's going to completely snatch their faces and, give them 10 years of their youthful skin back. I doubt it's going to give you a long-term snatch look. So some people find that they have puffiness around the eyes when they wake up in the morning. I mean, who doesn't? We're lying horizontally. Our fluid is literally, going to do that. But I think it's quite a soothing thing for people to do. And if that's going to help you feel a bit more like yourself and a bit more alive and, happy, go for it. Be realistic with the expectations.
So you're telling me that those videos that I get served on Instagram where somebody's got a pencil in their mouth and they're doing all of that, like up, down, side to side, that's probably not going to work either.
What pencil in their mouth? What are you? You're going to have to send me this.
I'm going to have to do a demonstration.
Is this what muscle activation or something? Is
Yeah,
it?
so this is a lip gloss. They'll get their lip
Mhm.
gloss and they'll be like,
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's great if you're going to exercise the muscles, but I suppose if you're talking to people, you're smiling and, being expressionful throughout the day, you're probably using all your muscles. That's great, but, part of skin aging and aging in general, which is a privilege, comes from bone resorption. So your bones start to, oh, this sounds really awful, but crumble essentially, like they get resorbed. So, like the jawline gets softer and what happens then is the fat pads start reducing in size as well. So the skin doesn't have essentially like
mm,
the architecture to keep it in place, and that's why we find that we get jowls or the sagging on sagging skin because the bones are resorbed. So the muscles are great to work on, but that's not essentially going to help later down the line much.
yeah, I mean,
Save your time, watch some TV. I think.
but you're so right that actually, if you're just sitting and having conversations and laughing
Like,
and
my jaws are hurting now. I've been smiling so much. My eyes are sore, which is good. It's good. We've
oh,
done
I
all
love
those
that.
exercises in a matter
Oh,
of.
thank God I don't need to do my 10 minutes with my pencil in my mouth tonight. I don't do that.
I need to. Can you please send me these? I need to watch what's going
When
on.
I next see one, I'm sending it to you because I see these like extremely chiseled Scandinavian women, and I'm
Oh,
there with my big cheeks, and I'm like, I need to do this.
you've got lovely cheeks. Lovely
Thanks,
cheeks.
Sonia. Oh, comparison is the thief of joy, isn't it?
Exactly.
Microneedling, worth it or a waste?
So I think microneedling can be really helpful in terms of, stimulating collagen. It essentially, creates micro channels or micro injuries in the skin to try and help your blood kind of rush to that place. So you're kind of
Yeah.
flushed and all the kind of rejuvenating skin cells come to the rescue to try and help remodel and kind of help that skin that's been damaged. So I think on the face, I would say in clinic treatments are better. I know they can be expensive, but there's specific devices and the length of needles, etc. There are some people that do microneedling and dermostamping of the scalp, and I think because the scalp skin is thicker, it's slightly safer. That if one wanted to do it at home, it would be safer, I think, to try that on scalp skin. But as with all these things, you have to ensure that you've properly, sterilized the tools that you are using, and ensure that the needles don't get too blunt because that can be damaging as well.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Spot dots.
Oh, so I actually like these. Because if you're a picker like me, they're
Me
quite
too.
good to stop you from picking.
Mm,
Um, I think if you've got severe acne, I wouldn't plaster them all over the face. They're meant to be little dots for, small breakouts. Some of them come with added ingredients like salicylic acid, which again helps unblock those pores and helps with kind of exfoliating the skin gently, which I think is great. Some of them are just bland spot dots. And if you're going to do that, I'd say don't waste your money on those. Just go and buy some good old fashioned hydrocolloid dressing. In these big packs, you can cut them to size and then stick them on because they're probably going to be cheaper and they'll last you longer. But if you want medicated ones, like with the salicylic acid, go for the spot dots if you want.
love that. Great tip. I think I know what you're going to say about this one. SPF.
I mean, yes, every day, every single day, yes.
Love
And
this. I need to
reapply
get better
throughout
at
the day.
this.
Reapply
Yeah.
throughout the day. And even if you're working from home opposite a lovely window, or you're going to go for your 10-minute walk outside at lunch, SPF. And it's not just about SPF. There are other sun protective measures which we are very bad in the UK at taking because we think, oh, we'll take all our sunscreen abroad and wear our lovely hats when we go abroad and we'll
Yeah.
sitting in the shade when we're on holiday. We don't think to do those things in the UK. And actually, the UV index today has gone up to 5 from about 10:30 till about 2:30, and
Wow.
that's quite high.
So, what is SPF like in really simple terms? Apart from protecting us from getting sunburn, what is it doing that's beneficial to our skin?
Yeah, so you've got SPF, the skin protection factor, so how long that sunscreen will protect your skin from burning. And then you've got, the star rating. So, and that's usually for UVA. This is very simplified. So UVA is thought of as aging, UVB is thought of as burning. UVA can actually travel through windows, and things like that. So what you want to look for in an SPF or sunscreen is a high protection factor. So you've got SPF 50 and then a high UVA rating. And a lot more sunscreens these days are getting sophisticated. So they're also looking at high energy visible blue light, which also
Oh,
comes from the sun and causes things like pigmentation problems as well. So they're becoming a little bit more high tech with the filters that they're using. Ideally, I'd say everyone should use, SPF 50, high UVA rating, and use that every day.
I definitely need to do this more. But one of the reasons why I don't, which I think is one of the reasons why a lot of people don't, is because so many sun creams either feel really greasy or they make me get spots.
Yeah.
How can we avoid this?
Yeah. So I'm there with you on this one. I hate that feeling of heaviness, especially on the face.
Mm,
So looking for SPFs or sunscreens which have like oil free in them, or they're like fluid gel type textures is quite good. Looking for those that say non-comedogenic, which means non-pore blocking, is
oh,
helpful as well. And then there's also the chemical versus mineral sunscreen debate, which we haven't even touched on. But
yeah,
chemical screens, they're great because essentially what they do is they absorb the filters and then they stop you from kind of reacting to the filters essentially. Whereas mineral sunscreens block the kind of UV rays. It's kind of deciding which one you want to use. The mineral sunscreens can be a bit heavier. They can leave a white cast on
yeah,
your skin, which is why people then don't like them. We tend to recommend them more in pregnancy because there's thoughts that the chemical ones can get more absorbed into the bloodstream. And again, it's a bit of a trial and error to see what your skin
yeah.
type is, what sunscreen is going to work for you. And there's some good ones out there. And, I've tested quite a lot of them. Things like La Roche-Posay have a good one there. Anthelios is a good one. Eucerin Dry Touch, I think they've got an oil-free one there. There's a Heliocare one, which is a tinted mineral sunscreen as well. There's a Murad one, again, a little bit on the expensive side of things, but there are loads of sunscreens, and there's like CeraVe, there's like a whole range of sunscreens that you can test and try.
Amazing. Just quickly on the sunscreen question, one person asked whether there's a need to look out for your skin more, particularly thinking about sun protection and beauty spots or moles when you
Yeah.
are either trying to conceive or pregnant.
Yes. So, yes. So, actually, we know that pregnancy or trying to conceive with all those hormones aboard can actually cause a change in moles. So, yes, being aware of your own moles pre-pregnancy is great, and then keeping an eye on them during pregnancy is also important. And we use the ABCDE kind of, mnemonic for moles. So that's A is asymmetry, B is border, C is varying colors, D is diameter. Usually we say more than 6 millimeters, but you don't need to go around measuring all your moles, especially if you're a really moly person. And E is evolving, so any change. So if you've had a
Yeah.
mole before and you think, oh, that doesn't quite look like what it did in those summer photos last year, it's always best to get it checked out. And we would rather see people reassure you and reassure us that it's an okay mole, rather than you sit there, worry about it, and not seek advice,
Yeah. Thank you. That's so clear. The final one in our worth it or waste
Yeah.
is preventative Botox.
So preventative Botox, I would say waste. Because it's Botox is a brand name. It's botulinum toxin. What it does is it freezes the muscles to prevent us from having lines that we don't want. So if you're not seeing lines that are static and that are actually there, and you think, oh, I can see these now, and they definitely weren't there, I would say you don't need to get the Botox done. And bear in mind, none of this is necessary. You don't have to get
Of
any
course. Yeah.
treatments or procedures carried out. This is all optional. And bear in mind that if you start doing it when you're trying to prevent something that hasn't occurred yet, it's an upkeep. So Botox lasts about 3 to 4 months. So actually, you'd have to then get another one done in 3 to 4 months' time, and then another, and it's an upkeep, and it's expensive as well. But overall, no one needs to get these things done. If you're going to get these procedures done, choosing a practitioner, looking at their qualifications, ensuring that you're able to ask those questions and feel comfortable asking those questions, and someone reassures you and not just saying, yes, 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 we'll do all this to your face. And you think, well, I didn't actually come in for that. We'll do all these additional things. I think choosing a practitioner that's sensible and suitable for you is really important, and that will have that discussion with you and also be able to tell you no.
I love it. Such good advice. And yeah, you're completely right. I feel like that is such an easy kind of red flag to spot if you're going somewhere and they're trying to upsell you. Maybe no, just don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas actually, maybe it's a good sign if they're saying, are you sure you want to do
Yeah,
this?
exactly.
I think we should talk a bit more about actives because we do have quite a few questions
Yeah.
on this. Do you have any advice about how you can safely introduce a new product or active ingredient without it causing a flare up or being too much for your skin?
So we would say test them out first and then see how you get on if you're going to use a new product, but you've been having lots of breakouts with other products. Usually we recommend like patch testing, and people think of that like when you go to the hairdressers to get your hair dyed and they put a little, bit of dye on the back of the ear. So similarly to that, you can either do it on your jawline or you can do it on the back of of your forearm, and you pop any product on there that you want to try for 3 days, ideally, in the same spot. And ideally not wash it off and see if that produces any reaction for you rather than going in straight all over. So, when you get a little sample or something to try, I always think, why would someone do that? Like give a little sachet of something or a little sample of something. But actually, samples are great if you have sensitive skin or you're prone to breakouts, to actually test out and to try it on the jawline for the 3 days. And that gives you a little sense of enough, but whether you're going to react to it or not. I think it's quite a helpful way of testing out a product.
How would you feel about doing a bit of a mini assessment of which active
Yeah.
is appropriate for which skin concern?
Yeah, we can have a go. Sure.
Okay. So one that we got loads of questions about, and one that I am very invested in, is hormonal acne or spots, especially around your jaw or chin.
I suppose it's the age of the person, and the skin type, and then why you're developing these acne spots or breakouts on your jawline. We know
Yeah.
a lot of us get spots around our period, and it's completely normal. As not nice as it is completely normal. And then it's like, if you know that's occurring, what you can do about it. Just changing up the basics can sometimes help. Listen to your skin. So you will very quickly realize, oh, I'm breaking out here. Why is it? Or my skin is feeling quite dry. And I think listening to those things and sometimes changing up your routine from, I'm going to not use this harsh cleanser because it's quite drying. Maybe I'll use one which is a little bit more moisturizing, might be a helpful change to make, rather than adding in something new, knowing actually my skin gets a bit greasier coming up to my period. I won't use that lovely thick moisturizer. What I'm going to do is use a thinner, more fluid or gel texture moisturizer, which will kind of help with the sort of reduce the oil production or the sebum that we have on our skin. So I think sometimes making those little changes to your basics can help. And then in terms of actives, it really depends on where you are in your stage of life, what you want to do. Are you already, for example, using something like a retinoid, or is that something you want to include as part of the acne? As dermatologists, we use retinoids to help with the treatment of acne, and that can be topical retinoids. So things like we use differin, adapalene, and sometimes tretinoin as well. And we also give oral medications, which are hospital-only medications by dermatologists for treating quite severe acne.
I like the idea of taking the preventative route, because I would imagine that specifically for hormonal acne, a lot of that is around the time of your cycle. There are a few who have mentioned having that kind of around your
Yeah.
chin, jaw area acne whilst they've been on hormonal fertility medication or even during pregnancy.
Yes. So there are other actives that people can include, and things like like your salicylic acid, as long as it's not in a high concentration, can be quite good for things like clogged pores, blackheads, to try and help exfoliate the skin in a gentle way, rather than using, I don't know if you're of the era of the scrubs, with the
Yes.
beads. Rather than using those, they are very harsh on the skin. I would not advise those at all. I have
Okay.
one of my sister's friends still uses her St. Ives peach scrub, and I just
Oh
don't know
my
how
God,
she
that is
still
such a
uses.
throwback.
Every time I see her, I feel like a feeling of dread. So sticking to things like, chemical exfoliation, like your salicylic acid, as long as it's under I think it's 2% concentration. Try it once or twice a week and see if that can help. And it can be quite helpful for those blocked pores and help with, breakouts.
Love that. That was definitely on the list.
And then you've got your bakuchiol, which you could try.
I'm going to put that in the show notes because I feel like that's going to change people's lives. I'm very excited about it. And what about somebody who has got dry or dehydrated skin, or what do they say? A compromised skin barrier. That is definitely what I have been diagnosed with before.
So they're slightly two different things. So your drier skin can be a compromised skin barrier, but a compromised skin barrier can also mean lots of breakouts and sensitivity and reactions. So your skin barrier, I'll do that one first, then we'll go into the dry skin. Is, if you think of it as bricks, and then between the bricks we have mortar. And then on top of those bricks, we have a lovely layer of like lipids and all the moisture that our skin and the oils that our skin naturally produces. A compromised skin barrier, it essentially means that you can get increased water loss, and increase entry of things like bugs and pollutants and things, which can then make your skin dry, increase sensitivity. You can even react to things that you may not have reacted to before, things like fragrances, for example. And those can all happen at different stages of your life, or if you're using things like harsh physical scrubs or harsh actives or overuse of actives, that can compromise your skin barrier. And then you've got your dry skin, and that can be just dry skin, and you're prone to having dry skin, and that's something that you have or have always had. Or it could be, in winter, we all tend to get drier skin. We've got lovely central heating on, then we go out in the cold, and that can simply make your skin drier. So yes, they're two slightly different categories, but they can kind
Yeah,
of,
that makes sense.
and you can have acne skin or acne prone skin, and you could still have a compromised skin barrier, if that makes sense.
So, what ingredients would you be looking for in those cases?
So if your skin barrier is compromised, I'd say stripping back on all the kind of actives. Back to your 3 steps: cleanser, moisturizer, and SPF. And actually looking, is this moisturizer for my skin type? Is this moisturizer sensible? I.e., does it have fragrances in it? And should I maybe stop the fragrance one? Sometimes it can be a simple ingredient within is causing a problem, or someone somewhere down the line, they've always bought the same moisturizer, for example, someone's formulated it differently or changed it slightly. And then the drier skin types, again, moisturizer is great, and maybe not using like a harsh cleanser. So something you might not want to use as many salicylic acids and things like that, but you may wish to use things like hyaluronic acid, which is a lovely water-based acid, and it can help under a layer of moisturizer lock in a bit more moisture for those drier skin types.
That's brilliant. I never knew that about all the different acids. I just kind of assumed they would all do the same thing.
No, they all have
Mm.
slightly different properties. So yes, they do slightly different things.
So, the next skin issue I have on my list is dull skin. And someone has asked, what's the best thing to do in your 40s for glowing skin?
That's a great question. So I'd say, what do they mean by dull skin? Is it more that they want that glowy glass skin? Because I'm going to stop you right there and say there's no such thing as glass skin, because I think that's a little bit of a marketing kind of tool. And I think glass skin, it's not an overnight thing. You can't apply something onto your skin overnight and expect the next day to wake up with glowy glass skin.
Yeah.
It might give you temporary hydration or a shine or a sheen to your skin, but nothing's going to alter your skin texture, appearance overnight. In terms of, what you could be doing is actually cleansing properly. Sounds really silly. Cleansing properly, ensuring a double cleanse can help remove the excess, dead skin buildup. Adding in potentially your vitamin C can have a brightening effect, as well as that antioxidant effect. Sometimes certain acids can help speed up that kind of exfoliation of the dead skin cells. And then things like retinoids, one of our most evidence-based skincare products. They actually help with that kind of skin cell turnover. So you get that kind of the dead skin cells shed quicker, and they reveal the lovely new skin underneath, which can give you that kind of glowy appearance. That being said, don't introduce everything at the same time, please.
Yeah.
I'd say go slow with those, and just gently build up. Don't sort of plaster it on every single night for the first week, because you will be suffering the following week
Yeah.
with
I
that.
have also experienced that firsthand. One more on this,
Mm.
which is fine lines and wrinkles.
Yeah.
Is there an active that you would recommend for people who are concerned about that?
Yeah, so again, retinoids is the kind of gold standard to help with fine lines and wrinkles. And again, you don't, those lines, laughter lines are there. They show that you have enjoyed your life. But
Yeah.
if you wish to, help improve the appearance of them, retinoids can help. But also hydration of the skin. I think, these fine lines can sometimes look much worse after a day of, you've not drunk any water, you've had about 10 cups of coffee because the kids might not have slept, and you think, oh my gosh, I don't think I've, had any water today. And sometimes it can just be hydration, both internally and externally on the skin. So sometimes things like, again, your hyaluronic acids or a good moisturizer to help improve that the skin barrier's hydration can help improve the appearance of these fine lines and wrinkles as well, if you don't want to use retinoids, or if you're again trying to conceive pregnant breastfeeding.
I Dr. Sonia Sharma, I know that there are going to be so many people listening to this podcast and going, I just want to know what you use, help me.
Yeah.
What I will say is, for anyone listening, if you do want more, Sonia's Instagram page is a great place to go. But for now, I wondered if we could just go through questions where you are very much allowed to mention product names or brand names. My first one would be your top budget buy.
So there's so many good cleansers out there. I don't work with Boots, but so there's so many great options in Boots. Things like Cetaphil cleanser is great.
Yes.
They are non-fragranced. They have different variations. They've got foam to cleanser, and they've got things like salicylic acid as well, which we didn't mention body care, but you can use on the body as well. If you've got things like dark elbows or knees, CeraVe are really good as well. They've got some lovely gentle cleansers. I personally use Aven, and I've been using them for years. I love their milky cleanser because my skin tends to be, if I use quite harsh cleansers, can get quite dry, and I can get broken. So their milky cleanser is great because it takes away the makeup, and I actually use that one as a double cleanse. But there's great micellar waters as well if people are, wearing a lot of mascara or eye makeup. Bioderma do a lovely one. Garnier do a lovely one as well. And then we're moving on to moisturizers. I love La Roche-Posay's moisturizers for acne-prone, acne skin. They've got a lovely range called Effaclar, which, our patients find really helpful, those who are on treatments for acne. And that range is really lovely. It's gentle to use. Again, Aven have a lovely Clenance range as well. And again, Cetaphil. I mean, all of these have a lovely moisturizers. And I'd say within that, if you're dry skin, you need a slightly thicker one, to use. And then SPFs, I don't think you need to be spending more than, £25 on a good tube of SPF. Look for your SPF 50 and a high UVA rating. But then there's ones which also target, high energy visible blue light. So if you're concerned with more pigmentation and melasma, that might be something to look for. And if you're of the skin tone that tends to hyperpigment more, you might want a tinted mineral sunscreen, for example.
And what about worthy investments?
I think your investment should be in yourself. Does that make sense? I think you spend your 10 minutes in the morning getting ready, and all you need to do is cleanse, moisturize, SPF. So actually investing in a good SPF that you like, that you will use, and that you find nice to use, I think that's my worthy investment.
God, this is like my biggest takeaway of this episode. I'm actually going to religiously use mine every day, because right now it's more of a, if it's a sunny day and I remember, and I'm going to be outside a lot. I know, I'm sorry, I really am.
I think in the UK, as soon as we see the sun, we all just want to enjoy it, don't we? We don't get much here, but when it comes out, we really love it. And it's great. It boosts our mood. Like, everyone's happier, nicer, and we want to get out there. But I think getting into that routine and teaching your kids about it from a young age is really important.
I think there'll be a lot of people listening to this who are like, yes, I'm on board with this now. Dr. Sonia Sharma, where can everybody find you? Where can we find more of you?
Well, I'm on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok. My DMs are always open. So if you've got queries or like, oh, you want to check out if a product might be suitable for you, I'm happy to do that. I can't give personal advice. And I think that's really important for me to say, because obviously I would want to see you. I would want to, properly take that history from you, see your skin, see what it's like, and then give advice. I'm happy to give product recommendations in terms of this is what I've tried and things like that. But it's hard to give, personalized advice.
If anybody has real concerns, what is their next step?
It depends on what exactly the skin concern is. If you're suffering with your acne to the point where it is making you feel bad about yourself, you are low in mood, definitely see your GP in the first instance, and they can refer onwards to a dermatologist. It's so important for us to help make people feel better in the skin that they're in, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I completely agree. Thank you so much for today. I've absolutely loved this conversation. I feel like I've learned so much and will not be overhauling my skincare routine, but I will definitely be focusing on the stuff that really matters. So thank you for that.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. It's been great. I'm very happy to come on at another time to chat more. So, no, this is really lovely.
I'd love that. The next time we can talk about all my hair woes, that would be very cathartic. Thank you so much, Sonia.
It's been great. Thank you so much.